Hi everybody, JT Hume from the CC and JT Amateur Hour Production Values Go to Die. And I'm going to start a series here about writers who have touched me, who have influenced me as a writer, as a literary artist. And I'm going to have to start with the big guy, Robert Heinlein. Robert Heinlein was a 20th century science fiction writer, and he was actually called the Dean of Science Fiction Writers. And when I latched onto him at a young age, I was immersed in Star Trek, of course, and I wanted something more. And so what I went to is the writer that probably influenced Gene Roddenberry, Robert Heinlein, who wrote these plausible novels, both young adult and adult fiction, that just resonated with me. And the word there is plausible. I think is really important when it comes to science fiction because citing such as Star Trek, again, sometimes when they did the technology, the lithium crystals and all of that, it seemed like it was sort of out there in a different kind of universe. But when Robert Heinlein wrote, he wrote during the atomic age, and so atomic energy was a real central part to many of his works. But he didn't focus on the technology, which some science fiction writers do. What he did, and what appealed to me, was the fact that he focused on people using those tools. He viewed technology as a tool, not a solution, which to me it resonated through my professional career. Never did I view technology as a solution. I viewed it as a tool, and that's what people sometimes lose track of when it comes to IT. Robert Heinlein beat us all there long before we got there, and so many of his books resonated with plausible IT, ranging from Starship Troopers and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress, and the list goes on and on and on. And I'm humble bragging here, I probably read more than 90% of his books. But the other thing that resonated with me is the people, just endless people, that memorable people that stuck in my brain. And when I started my sci-fi career, I wanted to emulate Robert Heinlein's characters as being real human characters, real dialogue, real feelings, real outcomes. And I hope in a way that I've honored him by doing so. My entire science fiction series, the Serving Salvation series, really gets into the nuts and bolts of the people more so than the ship that they are flying on. So when you read my books and you've read Robert Heinlein's books, there's probably a little bit of overlap there in the dialogue, in the structure, and in the way that it's presented. And I mean that in a good way. So I hope if you're seeing this somewhere and you've read my books, I can always hope. I hope you know that my books were honored you. I hope they did honored you. And if not, well, they say, imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So anyway, if you've made it to this far, Robert Heinlein this time, who's going to be next to my series? Not going to spoil it. Yes, I will. Anne McCaffrey. You all take care now. Love you lots. Bye-bye.